Hello. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as the Songbird. I'm handling the chat tonight. You've come to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. Please chat with us. I'll pass it on to Beth, and she can talk directly to you.
So in this show, I do commentary on the human condition and play the piano at the same time, or don't, but I usually do. And tonight, I want to talk about, do we build on what we already have, or do we start something new? And this is really a big topic, because when you think about it, it's like, oh, do I move from this house? Do I move to another city? Do I change jobs? Do I change professions? Do I get divorced? Do I
change relationships?
Do I change relationships? There are so many situations that this applies to. So I'd like to talk to you about this. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I don't know what you should do in every situation. In fact, I don't know what you should do in any situation. But I am going to talk a little bit about the process that I use to sort that out.
Okay.
And I hope it's helpful. So come on in and talk to me. If you're here live, you can put in your chat, and James is going to read to me what you say, and then I'm going to respond. And if it's live and we already have a...
Yes, Catalina has said, hello from both of us, which is Catalina and Elizabeth. So
what?
So
all right,
what
we
indeed?
don't know what the so is. Welcome, Catalina Plus. We are so happy to have you both. And I hope this is a very helpful show, but I'm not sure yet what I'm going to say. So let me tell you how this thing started. It started today because I was thinking about where we live. We have a beautiful home. We live in a great community. And I'm always kind of like, should we go somewhere else? And I'm asking myself why. And here is...
And Blanquita says, hello, Beth and James, and sends 2 hearts of love. And thank you, Blanquita, and same to you.
Hola, Blanquita.
Love to you.
Bienvenidos. Bienvenidas. One of those. So anyway, so I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about the way I feel about this house versus the way I have felt about other houses. And why am I thinking about moving when this is wonderful, right? And it makes me feel stupid and crummy and all of that. Well, but I'm not the only one who has this kind of situation come up, right? I mean,
Sure,
it comes up in a lot of things. So, Blanquita responded with a hi. Hi back.
Yes.
Hi back. So, I realized that whenever I have bought a house, I have either gone completely crazy and wanted it desperately and didn't take into consideration any practical things whatsoever. My heart just said, oh, I must do this. Or I'm practical and, I think, oh, this is really a wonderful option, or it's all I can afford, or it's
it's the best choice among several options.
Choice of them all, and what am I bitching and moaning about? And then I feel really embarrassed because, really, what is wrong with me? Well, so I was thinking about this, that there have been 2 houses that I have bought. One was with James and one was before James, where I just said, I have to do this. And what I realized is I didn't care what the problems were.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't care. So at the very on this one house in the mountains, I was like, I love the mountains. Now, was I paying any attention to the snow? No. Was I paying attention to the distance from town? No. Did I pay attention to the fact that they were asking for flood insurance, which was super expensive, and it was ridiculous because they would never flood.
It was above the floodplain.
It was way above,
above the
which we
floodplain.
had to prove. And in my heart, I wanted it so badly that I didn't care. Now, you might say, this is ridiculous, Beth. You're totally irrational. Well, maybe I was.
Well, you didn't want to not have that house.
I had to have it. I had to have it. And I never regretted it, even though it was ultimately someplace we had to leave. But my heart wanted it so desperately. I was looking for the yes.
Aha.
See? Now, compare that to the house that we live in now, which is a better house, very practical in a wonderful town and a great neighborhood. And when we were in escrow, it was like, oh, there's a problem with the siding. Oh. Or why haven't they answered us? Something is going on, and I see another person.
Oh, and Todd sends caring and love. Thank you, Todd. Same at you.
Hi there, Todd. So when I bought this house, or when we bought this house, everything made more sense about it. We could get all of our needs met. But I was looking for the no. On the inside, I was waiting for something to come along that could convince me that I had a reason not to buy it. So, you see, when you really are passionate about something, you are looking for the yes.
Right.
And when you really aren't that passionate about it, you're looking for the
I see.
no.
Oh.
See? That could be helpful. Well,
Yeah.
and the result of it is we have a wonderful place to live, and we've invested a lot in it, but I never feel that complete commitment that I did to that other house.
Yeah.
Even though it was impractical and we had to move after 4 years, the universe kind of pushed us out. Now, the same thing.
A little thing like threatening wildfires prompted us.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually,
And
it wasn't
destroyed
just
our
that.
utilities.
We
for
didn't even
months and
care
months.
about the threat of wildfires and that we were evacuated for 3 weeks. We cared that when we came back, 20 to 30 miles had been burned down. And there was no help. There were no utilities. There was nothing. Eventually, we had to do something. And we have another
We
answer.
have a comment from Amy. So she says, I've even done that with something as small as a choice of a cat.
Yes.
I chose one I liked, also choosing to ignore that it was unfriendly to other cats in the same shelter. The problem? My housemate already had a cat. It didn't work out. Surprise? Question mark?
Yes, you are so right, Amy. So, I do not regret having bought that house, though, even though we had all these problems, because it was like destiny. I had to do this. Now, something very similar, and by the way, I totally understand. It is true for little things, big things. I mean, we are talking about everything. Careers, we're talking about relationships, as I said before. Now, let's say I met a guy. When I was single, of course. How did I get into Jingle Bells in the middle of this?
Well, it's a few days from Christmas after all.
Oh, boy.
Boyke says, love you and God bless always.
Oh, it's so nice to
God
see
bless
you.
you, Boyke.
Yes. So, now, let's say I met a guy,
Yeah.
and within a few weeks, I knew more negative things about this guy than you can imagine. And guess what? I didn't care. Because I was looking for the yes. Because my heart said, yes, 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 yes. And there is another hello.
And Tracy says hello and sends caring back at you. Tracy.
Great, Tracy. Thank you. So I am aware that sometimes I am looking for the yes and sometimes I'm looking for the no. Now, I have to say that there are times, and I don't even want to mention this, but in political situations, somebody makes a point or has an argument that they put forward, and I already have made up my mind emotionally, and I am looking for the yes. Everything, I'm looking for something that is going to corroborate everything that that person has said or that position represents, right?
The one you agree with.
The one I agree with instinctively or out of habit or whatever it is. Whereas, God forbid, you're on the other side. I'm looking for the no. What's wrong with your argument? How many pieces of information can I drag together to prove that you are wrong, 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 wrong? Which goes back to Amy's unfortunate point that sometimes we absolutely are all in on something and it's really not the right thing. But anyway, I am still saying that this is something that we can notice about ourselves. Now, on the other hand, because now I'm only talking about the one side, which is, do we make this big change?
Or do we build on what we're
Or
already
do we
doing?
build on what we already have? Okay, so here, now we have this lovely house, and we've already spent all our money fixing it up so that we can live in it, especially mobility equipment. That means chair lifts and stuff like that because of disability and age and all of that. So now we're facing, but it doesn't have a river. Now, okay, a lot of people don't have rivers, and you're going to say, okay, this is ridiculous. You don't have a river. You want to leave this house because you don't have a river. Well,
Don't have a creek.
don't have a creek. There we go.
Mike says, Merry Xmas, Maestro.
Oh,
Merry Christmas.
thank you. Merry Christmas, happy all kinds of holidays.
Yeah,
happy life.
holiday.
So, okay. So why do I care whether or not there's a river? Well, because I have terrible health. And when I'm near a river that has rapids, I feel better. I actually am healthier. Okay, so you can believe it or cannot believe it, but it happens to be a fact.
And the two places you fell in love with, one had a small creek and the other one had a big river.
And those are the places I never wanted to leave. And the other places that we got that were much more practical in many, many ways did not have a river or a stream. And I ended up leaving. I was always looking for the place with the river and the stream. So I'm taking a picture, like a selfie, you know what I mean? About who am I and what is really motivating me. And instead of thinking that I'm a complete idiot, I'm trying to look at what it is that is holding me and captivating me.
And by the way, I just want to add that the house we're in now does have a water feature with 3 waterfalls. But the question is it enough?
Well, it's a water feature, like with a pump. It's not
It
a
does.
river in your backyard. and
It's flowing water.
And the house that we lived in with the river, it was so loud because it was rapids that you could have all the doors shut and you could still hear the roar of the
roar.
river. And I'm lying there and I'm feeling, well, anyway, so we couldn't find a river in a place that was practical for us to live in. So we both made this choice. Now, I'm not saying that I regret the choice. I'm just saying that the fact is that I never had the passion for it. I always felt ambivalent, meaning, well, yes, no, yes, no. Now, I've seen people in relationships. Well, he's a good earner. He's a nice guy. I think he's going to be a good dad. He exercises regularly and eats healthy. He just goes on and on.
And he has good hygiene.
He has good hygiene. My mother likes him, whatever.
Yeah.
And what am I doing? I'm talking myself into wanting to be with this guy. Now, is it the right choice? And then I get to work on the relationship. So now, like going back to the our little water feature outside, it's small water. I can't even turn it on because the thing that turns it on is in a place I can't reach. So, do we invest? Do I say, okay, James, this is where we're staying for the rest of our lives. Let's see if we can do something to make this water feature bigger, or to get some heat out there so I can actually go out there in the winter and get the benefit of it. So do we build on what we have, or do we adjust, right? Say, okay, what is missing? What is missing? Or do we say, this ain't never going to be what I really want, so we'll live here until. Because, see, there's always the other side, which is it worth the trauma to make the change? See? Okay, I've been going to school in engineering, and I'm almost finished, and I discover that I love fish, and I want to become a fish psychologist. Well, that may mean that I have to be in school another year or whatever, or there are no jobs in fish psychology. You see what I mean? So do I build? So I say, okay, let me finish my engineering degree, and then I'll go to graduate
So
school.
does that mean people would bring their fish to you so you could counsel them?
Exactly. So what do we do? Do I say, okay, I'm going to go to graduate school in fish psychology, or I have met an incredible intuitive counselor, Beth Green, who is very adept at fish psychology.
Yes.
I'm going to go work with her for a while. See?
She's a fish whisperer.
Actually, I have no affinity with fish whatsoever. Just letting you know, just in case you were wondering. So now I'm beginning to look at what the real issues are. What am I willing to invest to try to improve the thing that I have that is solid and feels that I'm already in? Or what am I willing to invest to change everything without knowing how it's going to work out? So I said to myself today, we're still talking about the house, but this could be about anything. I hope you are relating. I'm thinking, if somebody came along, we're old. Moving is a nightmare. It's very expensive. Then we have to go put mobility equipment in the next place. And I just don't have the energy. I don't have, and I haven't. If we could have found the right place, we would have found it last year and moved into it, right? So it's all of this. I should stay. We should stay until we have to move into a home.
A
they
residence.
cart us away.
A senior residence.
A senior residence. Okay.
Hopefully by a river or a creek.
So I said to myself today, if God came along and just picked us both up and said, okay, here's a great place in wherever. You'll be right by a river.
Here's a great place in Walla Walla.
Right by a river, 10 minutes away from all the things that you need, because where we were before, we were an hour away from everything we needed.
Right.
I mean, and I am not kidding you.
It was a 100-mile round trip for shopping.
Right. We were like way out there in a place that you would go on vacation, but, you'd have to be crazy to live there. And there were other crazy people who did live there. So I said, okay, if God came along and just said, here it is, would I go? Yeah. So that's the Rorschach test. That's the selfie. That is the self-portrait. I am seeing that I am ambivalent about this place. That, whereas with James.
Oh, I'm not ambivalent.
No, that's not what I mean.
I love this place. In terms of, are you ambivalent about James, or do you really, really want to be with him?
Right. If God came along and said, by the way, Beth, there's another guy I won't tell you what all qualities this guy has, because then you would know what James doesn't have, and I don't want to tell on James. But anyway, would I trade him in? No.
No.
No, I wouldn't trade him in, see?
Oh. Nor I you.
See? Now, why? Something inside us has the pull to something. So, a lot of times, guys, we're doing things because we're afraid to try anything new that we might fail. Or because it's just too darn hard. Or we're too tired or too old to start again, or we think we are. So we continue and we keep pouring energy and money and time into something that we don't really want. And a lot of us spend our lives that way and die like that. And others of us reach a point when we're really old and say, that's it, I'm done. And say, I want to try something different. I want to do something different. So, what are we seeing here? We are seeing that there are a lot of times in life where we can't get what, and this is part of the problem. Supposing I'm convinced that I'll never be able to find what I'm looking for, which is the way I feel about the house. Someplace where there's no global warming. Someplace where there is no drought. Where you have massive forests and streams and rivers that are just going along just like they always did before.
And no wildfires.
No wildfire before.
No air
global warming.
pollution.
That's right. And, I say, okay, that isn't going to happen. I had my chance of being in paradise. And, it had its problems. But I didn't care. I wasn't looking for the no. I was looking for the yes. If you had seen the decor of the bathrooms and the kitchen, they were like really 40, 50 years, 60 years old.
Out of date, yeah.
Out of date, but not only out of date, but anyway, and I just didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I lived with it all those years. We didn't have the money to fix that. I didn't care. So I had that experience. So I could say, well, it's like sometimes we say, okay, I fell in love. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime love, right? And I don't expect to do that again, right?
Right.
But sometimes something inside us says, no.
Uh-huh.
And the question is, which part of us is that?
Well, you've fallen in love with a place twice before. Maybe there could be a third time. Who knows?
Maybe. Except that I'm way older and the idea of moving and the money and a million other things. It's like, oh no, you've got to be kidding. So we're thinking, okay, when we have to go into a residence, we'll try to find a residence by a river. And by the way, there is no residence by a river that makes our kind of food and all of that. It's like one compromise after another. So the important thing about all of this is the self-honesty, right?
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't fool ourselves. How important is it to us? That's a very important question that we have to ask ourselves. Let's say we're in a job and we've been in that job for 5, 10, 15 years, and we just feel like the job isn't going anywhere, we're bored, we're not going anywhere in ourselves, we don't like the company, blah, blah, blah. And we're just sitting there like, oh, but I can't change. Oh, but I can't change because because nothing will ever be better. Not true. I will tell you one thing. James, shockingly, is not my first husband. But hopefully, my last husband. So I went through a lot of experiences in life to get to a certain place. And no, he was hardly what I would have ordered if I had said, okay, Santa, this is what I want for Christmas.
But this is what God wanted for you.
But this is what God wanted for me. And after 12 years, it's getting more like what I really always wanted. Isn't that something?
Isn't that?
So I didn't leave this relationship. I built on this relationship. James and I both worked
we
really
did.
hard to make
We
this
have.
a better relationship. So, okay, so I'm muddying the waters even more. Sometimes you can make something right and that really makes your heart sing if you put the time and energy into it. So now what are you supposed to? Didn't I tell you I was not going to tell you what to do? But what I am telling you to do is to look deep inside yourself. Ask yourself, how important is this? If this is my whole life, this is my career, this is my love, am I willing to do what it takes to make it work? And where is that coming from? Is that coming from fear, or is it coming from love? Is it coming from passion? There were times when James and I thought about breaking up, but we didn't. And yet there are many relationships where I can honestly say that people would be better off if they did break up. So it's really up to you. So ask yourself, when you're thinking about making a change, or you're thinking about buying a house, or take another job, or changing your career, or whatever, are you looking for the no, or are you looking for the yes? And that will tell you something about not the correctness of your choice, but the value it has to you and the passion you have for it. And if you're anything like me, you're going to want to feel that passion for what you've got in your life.
Very good.
So, this is Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks, and we come on the air every Wednesday,
6:30 p.m. Pacific.
6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And you can watch us live then. Please give this show a love or a like. Please follow our page if you're not already following it. Please leave a comment afterwards, whenever you're watching it. And please share the show with other people. Trust me, everyone you know has either faced this kind of choice many times or is facing it now. And I'm hoping that this show has shed a little light on the process that we can go through in evaluating what we can do. I think ultimately we have a destiny. It's an irrational thought. Oh, look at that.
Oh, Amy has a wonderful comment. She says, what a fantastic topic and show. And she says, thank you in all caps, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much, Amy. That gladdens our hearts.
It does gladden our hearts. Because, when I think about it, do I want to keep doing this every week? I'm tired. By the way, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we have Magical Improvs where I play the piano and James sings and we improvise together. So check it out. Check it all out.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I hope for you a holiday season where your spirit lights up and you say, where is my destiny? Am I just afraid to invest in something to make it better? Or am I afraid to change something to make me and my life better?
Or do I love something in my life now, or as an alternative, something I love,
That's right.
feel passion for?
It's a good thing when we love. Thank you
Okay.
for joining us.
Yeah, happy holiday to everybody.
Yes, happy
And,
holiday. Come back next week.
Hope to see you next
Love
time.
us like a show. Share.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.